Hey everybody, welcome back to Tommy's Tesla Tech and Travel. Today we're going to be talking about a new modification I just got for my camera, specifically my G7X Mark III. If you've been following our channel for a while, it's the latest camera we've gotten, and I've gotten a few little things to try and improve the quality because it is just a point and shoot camera, but a higher end point and shooting camera. But we're getting closer and closer to making that full over vlogging monster that we want it to be. So follow along, let's talk about my newest addition that we got to improve the quality of the camera. So if you've been following our channel for a while, you know one of my first and only gripes I ever had about this camera, besides the cost, was it didn't have a place for me to put any kind of external microphone holder, like a cold shoe mount or anything like that. And the whole reason I got this camera was to improve the audio quality by adding on my own external mic, like you see here, but not specifically this one. I'm using this one because everything else will be part of our demonstration today. So that's when I found this. It is actually made by a company called Newer. It is a little extender that plugs into the bottom of the camera, screws on through the tripod mount, and allows you to put on up to 3 cold shoe mount devices next to it. Here's my only knock against this one. I really like the idea, I like the concept. It wasn't slightly long enough, so I technically can only use one of the cold shoe mounts at a time. And one of the little pieces actually had broken off at one point, and I super glued it back on, and so far it seems to be pretty good. I like the concept and the idea, and it really, really was something that was unique and made my life a little easier when it came to the audio aspect. Just to give you an example, here's our receiver from the Wireless Go 2. So these are the wireless mics that we tend to use quite a bit. But if I were to use it, I can plug it in here, which is awesome. That's where I would normally keep it when I have it mounted to the camera. The problem there is if I wanted to put it on top, it was too long and bumped into the camera, and there was just not enough space on the side because it would actually run right into where the mini jack would plug into the camera. So again, I ran into some issues with this one. But the company that made it is a company called Newer, and I was really impressed with their quality overall. So I invested in another one of their products for my camera, which is their little lens right here that adds on and makes the camera a wide angle lens. And I decided I was going to get it and just try it out and see if I like it and use it every now and then. Turned out it's now a mainstay, and I never ever take it off the camera unless I'm cleaning or doing whatever. And again, made by a company called Newer. So really impressed with the quality of their products so far, especially with all the stuff they make specifically for the G7X Mark III. And most of it also fits the Mark II as well. But this is where this new product comes in. This is why we decided to make this video. Because although I love this, I found it a bit cumbersome and it doesn't let me actually add on the things I want, and it's a little bit heavy, and depending on the devices I've used it on, sometimes it does come loose and kind of swings either way. And that can be my fault as I'm not putting it on tight enough, but I also don't want to put it on too tight. That's when I discovered this. And what we're looking at here today is the Newer C-G7X. What it is, it's another microphone mount that goes onto the bottom of the camera. But instead of having that extension arm, it's a little bit different. It's actually a solid piece that blends in with the camera itself. And I thought this would be way better for just the compactability and simplicity of the camera and using it on the go. So let's unbox it together and see if it meets the expectations I've set for myself with it. I don't know, I tend to overhype things in my head. We're gonna find out. As you can see, it's just your basic packaging overall, and I did buy this off Amazon, and if I remember correctly, this ran $16.99. I'd have to double check that. All right, very minimalistic, which I can appreciate, because you don't need a lot of packaging. We know what we want, just hook it up. We'll figure it out. All right, it comes with a hex key, just like the last Newer product we got. Hopefully I don't lose this one, but luckily I always have some extras. I am an adult, I have tools lying around. So let's check it out. Again, very minimalistic, and there we can see the Newer logo. And I've been really happy with the build quality and the products that Newer has produced and that I've picked up. So let's get it on the camera and see what we think. So let's take a look at actually how it fits on the camera itself. As you can see here, there is a screw that would mount right in here to the tripod stand. So when I first looked at this when I got it in today, my first thought was, oh no, did I buy something where I can't use my Manfrotto anymore or my tripod? No, I didn't look at it before I bought it, but yeah, there is another mount right here on the bottom. So a little sneak peek right here, the thing I'm really excited about, it gives you full access to the battery pack and the SD card. So you don't have to take this off each time, which I definitely had to do with the other Newer mount. So this is a huge improvement. But let's see about getting it mounted and how it fits. So like I said, it is just a general hex key that goes on there. And the nice thing about it, it's designed to fit snugly on the device itself. My first thought was, oh no, it doesn't mount on all the way. No, it actually doesn't encroach on the camera itself. It kind of stays on the bottom. It just kind of blends in with it. And like with any of this stuff, you just never really want to over tighten it if you can. Get it on there just enough, Give it a little twist, but don't over tighten because you don't want to loosen the threads or break the device itself. But there we go, it is now on there. And like I was saying, it really does just blend in with the camera, which is nice. It looks like it's naturally on there. And there's that cold shoe mount. But now that I have it on there, my first thought is, this is a little close for comfort for me. But let's show you what it actually is supposed to be doing, okay? So what I would like to start off with is just talking about what it's really designed for. And the first thing I'm going to use with that is my Rode micro mic. So it's a little shotgun mic, and I changed this windsock on there because unfortunately that dead cat was always getting the view of my shots. So I got this little foam one, and it tends to work a lot better. And the way this mounts on, it comes with a little stabilization arm, so it's designed to bounce around so you don't get all that sound and audio from it bouncing and moving. So before we put the mic on, let's put on the arm. Perfect, just like that. What I'm going to do is take the cable here. See, like I was saying, that's a little too close to where the cable actually plugs in with that mini jack, so that's concerning me right away. So let's get it on here. This is going to pop into place. Oh, there we go. And then this part plugs right in here in the back. And voila. It is set up for its external microphone. And unlike before, sorry, I know we're a little close here, but as you can see, it's off to the side. There's no chance of it getting in the shot or in the view, and it's facing the person that it needs to be facing. But here's the only downside. The reason I don't use this microphone too much is it is a directional mic, so you really have to be facing it, like in front of it here, for it to hear you. So vlogging is perfect, but if I'm recording other things, I have to stop and flip the mic around, which is why I don't use it that much. But it's been a heaven sent in lots of different circumstances and occasions. So what I normally use is my Wireless Go 2 Pro mic, Wireless Go 2 mics that I showed you earlier. So let me get those plugged in to show you how this would fit on there. So already here's going to be a really good example. I went to do a little test shot here with the G7X Mark III with everything on there, and I realized there's no memory card in there. Before I'd have to disassemble everything, but now it just opens up and it is ready for me to insert the card. Oop. It'd help if I do it right. Bang. And I didn't have to disassemble everything. That is a huge step in the right direction for me, so I'm super excited about that. Alright, just doing a test shot. Have the shotgun little mini Rode microphone on here, seeing how it sounds, how it works, and so far I have to say this is really nice. It's very minimalistic. It's something that's been a lot better than I've dealt with in the past with that arm that extended out, because it would always shift on me. This is perfectly level and perfectly still, although the microphone's pointing off a little bit, but that's because I haven't really stored the holder the way I should have. Alright, let's check out the Wireless Go 2s. So before I even get started, I already noticed, so I kind of saw it earlier just eyeballing it, but now that we're actually in practice, let me show you. So putting it on there, it fits like a glove. That's great, but look how close it is to where this plugs in at. So I'm going to take my audio jack and plug it in there. And we're going to take this bad boy and we're going to put it back into the cold shoe mount. Ooh. See, I'm having even trouble just lining it up because, yeah, it is in the way. It's not going to fit properly. In fact, it's bending open quite a bit, so it's not getting a good grip in there. So that's not good, because this is the one that I use quite a bit and I prefer. Although now that we're looking at it, I think I already have a solution. Give me a second. Funnily enough, as my Aunt Frances used to say, I think the answer lies in our problem. I am going to take this cold shoe mount that was on our extension arm and take one of my cold shoe mount extensions that I had for my old DSLR camera, and we are actually going to stick that in here, tighten that down, and then take our extension arm and put it on the side here and make sure that it fits nice and snug. Put it right there. Bang. And bang. So cool, it works kind of the way I was hoping, but it's now really sticking far out. That's the only downside I see here. Oh, and I didn't stick this part in the proper channel. Let's get that in there and tighten it back down. So that's a downside. I mean, it is definitely sticking out further than I would like, but that really serves the job a lot better. In fact, I would argue that I would have space for other things. Like I could put one mic up here and one mic down here. So we're going to cover that here in a little bit later, but let's test it out. But But in order to do this properly, I do have to take my wireless mic and I will put it on my person and we'll see how it sounds. Here comes the test. And now we're testing it with the wireless Go 2 microphone. I'm hoping it sounds good. I've never had any issues with these microphones and their audio, but having them set up now this way makes life a little bit easier. They stick out far enough away where I can even utilize this 3-tier mount. The only thing I'm not a fan of is the whole point of me getting this new mount system was not to have it so extended so far from the body itself. But I have to say this might work out in our benefit, but there's a lot of moving parts. In fact, before the end of this video, I'll show you what the camera looks like by itself and then with all the different parts on there. But hey, so far so good. So one of the only things I'm not a big fan of too, if I set it down flat, because the way I have to mount everything, the camera itself doesn't sit flat. It sits at a weird protruding angle. But I don't really sit this camera down like that very often. I mean, generally speaking, I tend to always have it on like a Manfrotto, for example, or a tripod or something else along those lines. So this is not going to happen all the time. But for our sake of our argument, like pros and cons of this little attachment, that's definitely a con, but not really a change my mind and send it back type con. And last but not least, like I said, we are going to stick the Manfrotto on there because this acts as just a general, how all my tripods and stuff would work with it. And voila, it fits like a glove. And there it is in all its glory. That's now my out and about vlogging monster. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. But again, the whole length part, I'm not a huge fan of. But you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, if I remember correctly. So all in all, now we gotta test it out in the field. Let's see how it works when we're out and about looking at different things. But I promise you, let's do a side-by-side comparison. We'll show you what it started off life as and what it is now. I mean, tell me down below in the comments, do you think it's worth it buying something like the G7X Mark III than doing all this extra work and spending all this extra money to really modify it and what you want it to be? Essentially, I'm turning it into a really simplistic DSLR camera. But without spending like, the $3,000 plus all the lenses and everything else. But Neewer, I have to say, I am a huge fan of their product. This is not sponsored or anything, but from now on, if I have to buy any accessories for my Canon G7X Mark III, it's probably gonna be a Neewer brand. Well guys, tell me what you think down below. Do you think this was worth it? Do you like what we're doing here? Do you think we're wasting our time and wasting yours? I'd love to hear it all. But make sure you follow us on all of our social medias, and right here's all that stuff for it. So follow along, tell us what you think, and make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. But thanks for taking another ride with us. Please tune back in for Tommy's Tesla Tech and Travel. We're going to be going on some traveling adventures here pretty soon. We got Tucson Comic-Con, Oogie Boogie Bash, Disneyland, and just our day-to-day adventures as a family. So tune in. I swear, we're not really that boring. Well, I guess it's up to you. Bye-bye, everybody.